Good afternoon, everyone. I'm JK4ZLE, and welcome to the DX Forum. We hope we have a good program for you this afternoon, or this morning and afternoon. We're going to lead off with Paul F6EXV, who's going to give us a talk over Zoom. He's sitting over there in France, but he's going to give us a talk today on the FT8 Whiskey operation that was done by F6C UK, I believe it's called, Thierry. So Paul, I'm going to turn it over to you. Everybody should know of Paul. If you've been DXing for any length of time, F6EXV should be a fairly familiar call to you. And Paul, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to make this presentation for us. So I turn it to you. Have at it, man.
Okay, very good. So first of all, good morning to all of you guys. Good late afternoon from here. Delighted to be with you through Zoom and through beautiful internet. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. Thierry sends his very best wishes to all of you. He apologizes for not being able to do the presentation himself, but he doesn't feel comfortable enough with his English. Maybe I should do the same, but he appointed me his interpreter to do the presentations, which hope you will enjoy. I hope you can all hear me okay. I don't have any feedback at this very moment, but I guess you would have interrupted me if the communication was not working okay. So I guess I'll start with a PowerPoint presentation. We are preparing a video, but it's not ready yet, unfortunately. So that will be the old way with the sort of slideshow as we used to do it in the good old days. So Crozet, FT8, whiskey. By the way, the call has nothing to do with the mode FT8. Let me make that clear. So here is how the presentation will be going. First of all, a few data about Crozet. So where is Crozet? That's one of the signs, typical signs of Antarctic bases on Crozet. That's where Crozet is located, 2,800 kilometers south of Reunion Island, 2,600 kilometers southeast of South Africa, 1,000 kilometers east of Prince Edward Island, 1,500 kilometers west of Kerguelen. So I guess everybody's familiar with that. Otherwise, you're not a DXer. So the archipelago is made up of several islands. The main one is the Ile de la Possession Island, where the base Alfred IV is located. And that's obviously where Thierry operated from. That's the main island, Possession Island, and the circle shows the base, where the base is located. So, before the operation, the application was made and severe negotiations had to be carried out. The idea came up when I was meeting Thierry, who came to visit my new house in October 2020, and we were discussing several possibilities of a destination for him to go to after he inherited a little bit of money after his mother passed away. So Crozet came up, and we said, why not? Before doing anything, there was a lot of reading on the TAF website. The TAF will be referred to many, many times over the presentation, is the Antarctic and sub-Antarctic French territories, which is sort of an overseas department administered from Reunion Island. So they have a website, and Thierry and I went through it extensively to gather a lot of information. There were exchanges with Fox 5 United Fox X-Ray, Sebastian, who was the organizer of several of the Fox Tango expeditions previously. Then we were monitoring F6AJ's website where he has a very interesting collection of all the Fox Tango QSL cards. We also read the history of the TAF made by Fox 2 Victor X-Ray, my good friend Thierry. And we had a contact with Gildas, who has held a lot of Fox Tango call signs, even though he hardly ever went ashore. But he obviously gave us quite a lot of information. The application considered some of the ideas that came up from the reading of all these documents. The first idea was to have a 4-square antenna. Only one operator was the only way to get permission, we thought. We realized Crozet was 3rd on the most wanted list and number 1 for the West Coast. So obviously the priority was to give ATNOs, therefore limit the activity on very few bands. Activity should take place between 2 rotations of the Marduk. The Marduk is the Marion Dufresne, the boat that goes to all these islands to supply them with whatever they need. So that means they would stay on the island for 3 months. The original plan was to be on SSB during the day and on CW during the night. And with the West Coast priority in mind, and considering the propagation, low bands would be a priority for them in FT8 mode. Contact was made also with Bernard of 6 Bravo Lima Kilo, who gave us quite a bit of information on the first preliminary mission that was held to Crozet in 1961-1962. He also helped us to write the application. The board of directors of the REF is obviously the French, not ARU, the French, I forgot the name now. Not the IARU, the ARRL. I should have known that. So the application was mailed to the TAF in March 2021. A lot of waiting was required, but through some connections that will be too long to explain, we had contact directly to the Minister of Interior. That's how high our contacts were. And obviously, he is the head of all the overseas prefect, therefore the head of the prefect of the TAF. And he sent him a letter saying, please welcome the application for this radio amateur operation. So obviously that was a big, big help. We also had to wait for the return of the Chief of Staff of TAF to our reunion because he was holidaying in France for quite a long period of time. And that was our first approach with the TAF. So we also had contact with the base boss because there is telephone communication with the base without much problem, I must say. Obviously, after some information he passed on, Thierry gave up the idea of using a 4-square array. He was made aware of very high winds on the island, even in their summer, which is our winter. He was made aware of the soil nature. The island is volcanic. He was made aware of the fauna protection. Let me not elaborate on this, so you all know what we're talking about. So some decisions were made on the choice of antennas, considering the permission that he had was to only use wire antennas. Not only because of bird protection, even though we've always thought that we've never heard of a bird committing suicide, jumping or getting into an antenna, but that was these instructions. And of course, the application made reference to the 250th anniversary of the discovery of Crozet Island in Kerguelen. So there were some different proposals for lodging and living conditions, while Thierry would be part of the team. A big part of the application was also contact with the REF the French ARRL, which was a partner for the expedition with the QO100 project. Maybe you in the States are not very familiar with QO100 because it does not cover your area. It's a geostationary satellite, and that was the idea was to have links with schools and let the pupils, the students, interview the scientists on the base. The TAF were very interested in that part of the project because they thought that would be part of advertising for them. Jean-Louis Fox 5 Delta Japan Lima was also in charge of negotiations with the ministries and various institutions involved in the project. And Pascal FT8WW was in charge of the website. So the TAF came up with a proposal for a departure in December 2022. The proposal came in October, so that left not much time to get everything ready. The authorization was received for a stay from December till March 2023 with restrictions. It was originally only allowed for 3 weeks, and that 3-week limit came up about 2 weeks before he left. So it was basically too late to negotiate, and we thought that we would negotiate while he would be on the island. So we opened a Twitter account. We also created an ad hoc association under the 1901 laws in France that govern associations. We also created the logo. We established the QSL policy, and I started contacting potential sponsors all around the world. So the equipment, here is another view of Crozet with the Marion Dufresne on the back. So everybody, not only radio hams were waiting for the start of the activity, but a few penguins as well. The budget, I will not go into details because my time is limited, but let's say just above $40,000 was the original budget. To give you an idea, the stay of Thierry on the island would cost nearly $10,000 because he was fed and he was given sleeping and heating and electricity and all that. Also, the passage on the Marion Dufresne was $10,000. So again, the budget was about $40,000, which is not too much for number 3 most needed when you consider that. Originally, the equipment was supposed to be a couple of K3s. Thierry had one, I had one, and we were trying to get a K4 from Aircraft, but that didn't work. 2 ACOM 1010 for amplifiers because he was allowed, even though he was not allowed to use anything else than wire antennas, he was allowed to use 500 watts, which is the normal power limit in France. Multi-dipole, fan dipole type, loop for 30 and 40 meters. We had, he had 300 meters of coax, 500 meters of master wire, a couple of matchboxes, reinforced electrical cable to manufacture the dipoles that came from F2DX, wire for beverage on ground and grounding, 2 PCs, including one for the QO100 station. And everything else was in duplicate, like headsets, gears, power supplies, because as you could realize, the first radio shop was pretty far away. This was the satellite installation. Dish that was 120 centimeters in diameter that was required to do video over the satellite. All the station was pre-assembled and tested by Lucien, Fox 1 Tango Echo, Jack F6BKI, and Michel F50ZF. So they tested everything and they dismantled the dish so it could be shipped in canteens to Crozet. This is the coverage of QO100 satellites, so quite a lot. I forgot the number of countries that it covers, but close to 200 So that's obviously most of Europe, well, all of Europe, all of Africa, and a little bit of Asia. That's where the station was located on the base. The base is fairly small. I should have mentioned that while Thierry was there were 34 people on the base. That's all. So it's the smallest of the TAF bases. Kerguelen, St. Paul, and Amsterdam are a bit bigger than that. So Crozet is really the smallest one. So that's the entire base, what you can see here on this slide. Again, I will not go into details of the satellite station, as you guys are already concerned, though I'm sure there are some Europeans in the room there watching the presentation. So that was the team. Thierry on the upper left corner, myself next to him, Pascal, Jean-Louis, Lucien, Jacques, Michel, and Jean-Michel. So who was doing what? Thierry, relation with the TAF, equipment selection, press articles. I was the finance minister with sponsors and clubs. I am the QSL manager. By the way, I'm basically up to date with direct requests. Pascal, webmaster. Jean-Louis, relation with institutions. The three friends for QR100, and Jean-Michel, Les Nouvelles d'X information. Again, a few listeners on the island were waiting for Thierry. So departure, that's the Marion Dufresne ship that was to take Thierry to Crozet. Some were already there, and they don't care about being seasick. So we arrived, I forgot the date, after a quick side trip to Tromelin. That will be on the film, but I didn't mention anything on this presentation. That was a one-day visit to Tromelin. That was unexpected. Thierry was able to go on shore, but so he took a few pictures, but that was fairly quick visit to Tromelin. So here is the base with all the buildings. And he was awaited by a couple of guys that helped him put up the masts to support the antennas. They were part of the local team, should I say. And he was the antenna, at least the original antenna, the vertical and multiband vertical with 600 ohms power line. Here is the base of the antenna. And that was his shack. A little bit more luxurious than the shack on Bouvet, as you can see. You had central heating and power supply just plugging into the wall. So he was quite comfortable, I must say. And immediately was the first QSOs were made in FT8. So we joked quite frequently when we said it's not a waterfall, but a waterfall. It really was a wall of signals, and that was quite impressive. But the best he could decode was 145 stations in one particular decode. That was the satellite station. I mean, the what he could see on his screen. So here are some statistics about the operation.
Hey, Paul, let me interrupt just a second. I think the person that was on the Crozet side is here, Alex. On the, not the Crozet side. On the Bouvet side, yeah. All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. So hello. So the statistics show that including satellite, he made over 51,000 QSOs. Again, I will not go into details. The statistics are available on Club Log page when you search for FT8 Whiskey. North America was 20% of the QSOs. Europe was 49%. Asia was 26%. The rest are small numbers. So the major sponsor obviously was Northern California DX Foundation. We want to thank all of them that sponsored for most of the equipment. The list is fairly long, so I'll let you read quickly. Most European foundations supported us. Many North American clubs supported us. We even had clubs that we'd never heard of before, small clubs, that contacted us after the beginning of the operation and said, hey, Thierry is doing great, we would like to help you. So that was absolutely fabulous, and we really want to thank everybody for that. I also forgot to mention that on his way back, Thierry was very fortunate to be able to land on Kerguelen and on St. Paul and on Amsterdam, which is something very few people do normally. He took pictures, and these will be on the film as well. So the film will be available for free. We'll give details on the website and probably on Twitter as soon as it's ready. More sponsors. Japanese clubs also sponsored the operation. And last but not least, all individual donors. The list would be extremely long to show here. It's on the website. Let them all be thanked. So that's the website. You can also access it quickly. Just type in crozet2022.fr. FR is for France, not Reunion, but crozet2022.fr, and you'll get access to the same pages. So here I will try to, I hope the presentation, it's not perfect, there are many things missing, but again, we're limited in time, and I'm sorry to keep you away for lunch. I will be happy to answer any questions if there are any, and otherwise I'll set you free.
Okay, thanks a whole lot, Paul. We do have a roaming mic here. We'll take a few questions while we have a little bit of time.
Okay, great.
Yes, thanks for an all-time new one. Any possibility of a future operation from Glorioso or Kerguelen?
Guess what? I was expecting the question. Let me not elaborate. But Thierry has already some ideas in mind for future operations. That's all I can say at this very moment.
Okay, thanks for that one. Any other questions? Oh, you're over here, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a question and a comment. First question, was
Can you hear him okay, Paul?
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
Was Terry able to run the amplifier over there?
Yes, most of the time, but Thierry wanted to be very cautious, even though he had two of them. He almost never used them at full power. So basically, he was running it at 300, 350, 400 watts maximum, I would say.
Okay. My comment is this. Everything that y'all had to do with this, from the administration coordinating with the officials just to get over there, didn't even know once he got over there that he would be able to operate more than 3 weeks, then having to negotiate in order to get back on the air, and everything that he had to deal with on the air from the QRM, intentional and otherwise. The entire team, Terry and you, Paul, and everyone, this had to be one of the greatest de-expeditions I've ever experienced in 46 years as a ham. And I just got to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, merci for everything that y'all did. And every one of y'all guys in my book are instantly in the DX Hall of Fame forever. I just want to say thank you.
I think we all can echo that.
Well, that
And
is
I
extremely.
usually have a sub-theme with the DX Forum, and the sub-theme for this one is, it ain't a walk in the park to get these places on the air. And this one is the first one where you'll see it. It took a lot of negotiations. We've got time maybe for another one question.
Yeah, maybe I can comment very quickly.
Go ahead,
But first of all, many, many thanks for your very kind words. I will forward that to Thierry. I'll talk to him on the phone after we're finished with this. Again, very, very many thanks for all of you guys for helping and bearing with the QRM. That was to be expected. It did calm down after a while. There were a lot of pirates. And Thierry discovered the fact that it would be limited originally for 3 weeks, just a couple of weeks before he left, regarding the interference and the limitation of 5 hours every day because of the geomagnetic measures that were taken on the island. He knew about that ahead of time, but he had many problems with that. To give you just one example, one day, the two guys that were doing the measures were not able to do it, but they only told Thierry about the end of the 3rd hour. So Thierry was off the air for 3 hours for nothing. And then obviously they started the thing later in the day. So Thierry was off the air again for 5 hours. So on that particular day, he was off the air for 8 hours. And that was quite painful to him. But he did what he could considering all the limitations he faced. And he knew that people were not aware of everything, but that's the kind of things that happen on such of the expeditions. So that's, and again, thank you very much for your kind words.
Okay, that's all we have for questions, but I do want, before we cut it with you, Paul, I think was the Northern California DX Foundation made a special award for this operation, and it was well-deserved. I really think so.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. There's so many things. Thierry did receive the plaque. He was extremely honored, and I think the picture is already on the website, and that was a very, very kind gesture. Thierry was aware of many criticism, but he was also aware of the fact that he gave an all-time new one, sometimes the last country, to a number of people. That was the aim of it, and that was a very nice gesture from Northern Cal.
Just as a quick one, how many ATNOs we have out there? You won't believe the number of hands. I wish I could turn my computer and let you see, but I would say at least a third of you? Yeah, they're shaking their head. At least a third of the people got an ATNO out of that operation.
Okay, well, we're all very happy for that. That was one of the aims of it.
Okay, thanks so much, Paul, for taking your time and making this presentation.
Well, it's my pleasure. I think it's a first to do such a presentation remotely, and I hope everything went okay on your side. And again, thank you all for having me do the presentation.